Welcome to Moss Marketing Mondays, aka the M3 Podcast. Brought to you by Moss Marketing Group, bringing you everything marketing every Monday. Stay tuned for marketing tips and tricks you can use today. The M3 Podcast, marketing knowledge to help you succeed. Let's get started.
Welcome back to the M3 Podcast. This weekend we got Ricky and Dre from the MMG crew. We got Enrique, the owner of Teocali's. So super pumped for you to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And this is something that we recently crossed paths, what was that, a few months ago?
Yep, right around March time.
Yeah, around March. And first time I actually had Teocali's was on a taco review. And you guys scored super high. Tacos were amazing. Really enjoyed all the food. And then Ricky and Lauren.
So we've known Enrique for probably 5 years.
Yep.
2019, probably somewhere around there.
Yeah. So you guys had crossed paths a little earlier. Mm-hmm. So I'm really glad everything's worked out the way it has. And you got a phenomenal restaurant. So.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I remember got an order for 2 taco boxes. And I'm like, who orders 2 taco boxes? But I'm like, let's go. Let's get them done. Next thing you know it, I get tagged on one of you guys' reviews. And I'm like, oh, shit. It's like, I don't know what's going to happen, but let's see what happens. But no, I appreciate the love.
It was a lot of tacos. It was a lot of tacos. It's probably a weird amount. Which
the weird thing is, for the longest time, we did all of our taco reviews where we would go pick them up and bring them back to the office. Which I think that actually hindered a lot of places. So
unfair.
We were eating soggy tacos every week. I'm like, man, all the tacos are soggy.
And so we're pretty much just rating how well somebody made meat.
Basically.
And also how fast it would get to the office. So now we've done it where we do all of our taco reviews at location.
Okay.
So I think it's a little bit more fair. But it also makes it for when we're there, people know that we're doing something.
That's awesome.
When we're in there filming and everything. But no, I think there's a lot of really great taco places in Kansas City, and there's a lot of shitty taco places in Kansas City. And
I've noticed.
But yeah, I want to back it all the way up, and I want to get the story of Enrique. What got you? When did you get into the restaurant space? What got you into that? Where did it all start?
Oh man, so go down to memory lane. So, came to the States when I was 4 years old. My dad worked for the railroad, and along with all his brothers, so he came to Kansas City. Kansas City was the centralized city to all the railroads. So they go north, south, east, west. So dad moved here, went to Mexico, met my mom, and we moved in the States in 1984. Mom comes from family of 10, dad family of 12. Mom being the oldest one, she was always entertaining. She's always cooking for pretty much all her brothers and sisters and family, right? So as we got older and older, my mom was always loving to do festivals, doing carnivals, doing any type of events where it would involve her cooking. And when I was in high school, and even grade school and high school, in college, we would go and apply for the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, fiesta, the whatever fiesta, whatever carnival was going on in the city for X amount of time. We always had a little booth, so we just started cooking and going out there and just selling my mom's recipes around mom's food. Fast forward, she always nudge me, be like, "Hey, mijo, open up a spot. I want a restaurant. I was 20 years old in college. I'm like, what do I know about a restaurant? It's like, I have no idea what we're doing, but sure, Mom, sure.
So at 20 years old in college, what was the game plan? If restaurant wasn't the idea, what was the thought process there?
That's a very good question. So during college, I started a seasonal labor business where I would recruit individuals from Latin America, Mexico, and bring them up under work visa. We were the H-2A, H-2B visa program. So I did a lot of seasonal labor, such as landscapers, painters, roofers, brought them up on a work visa. They worked solely for that company, and then they would go back home. So legal labor, in essence, they were paid through the Department of Labor's, minimum wage and so forth, which was awesome. But then 9/11 hit, and that was brutal. So then I'm sitting around. I'm like, now what am I going to do?
So that pretty much halt the whole thing?
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
They still provide visas, but under a lower scale.
Gotcha.
So that was a little rough. for not only for me, for my business, but also for my employees. Because there's nothing better than having someone come up legally, work for somebody, and have to look over their shoulder and, get paid at a decent rate,
Yep.
and then work here for 8-9 months out of the year, then go home. That was the beauty of it. So that kind of threw some curveballs at me, and my mom was still kept nudging me about a place. So we lived across this old, it was called the Firehouse Bar and Grill. And a buddy of mine approached me and he's like, hey, there's this place across the street going for sale. I would love to get in there and kind of move in, but I'm like, it's too much work for me. So at the same time, I was doing construction, like flipping houses on the side as well. So I grabbed my dad and I was like, hey, let's go take a walk around across the street. It's literally 4 houses down the street from my parents' house. So we walk in and we spoke with the owner. At the end of the day, we ended up speaking with the owner of the building itself. And he's like, yes, I want to get rid of this guy. He hasn't paid rent in a while. So when can you move in? So I'm like, give me a second. This is a little bit too much for me. So I went home, talked to my dad, did not talk to my mom. I was like, Dad, let's do this. This would be perfect. We were right around Christmas time in 2004.
So did you know mom, you're like, we're not talking to mom because she's already 100%.
She's 100%, but we wanted to surprise her.
Yeah.
We're like, hey, she's always wanted to have her own place. I'm like, let's do this. So I met with the owners at Indian Hill Golf Course, and going to the clubhouse there, 24-year-old kid, right? I'm walking in, they were like smoking cigars, drinking scotch. They were like, hey, Enrique, you want a scotch cigar? And I'm like, no, but I take a PBR. I'll take something. That's what Natty Light or something, right? So ended up sitting there. They gave me a contract. Lease, I signed it, and I went home and I dropped it on my mom's lap. It's like, hey, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. We're gonna open up a restaurant. Every single emotion a woman has, she displayed it within like seconds.
Oh my goodness.
So that was December of 2004, and it took me about 2 years to get my liquor license, the food permits, remodeling, the whole 9 yards, and we opened up in August of 2006.
Wow.
Took you 2 years to get open?
Give or take, a little bit less than 2 years, just because I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
I still had to kind of figure out what the permits were and where to go get permits. I had like 5 parking tickets downtown because I didn't know where to go. The offices weren't where they were supposed to be. This was not before the internet, but it's not as informative as it was, then. 20 years ago.
Yeah, they were like driving around with an atlas, like, hey.
Basically, it's like yellow pages. I'm like, how do I go? But yeah, so it took me about 18 months to get the bad boy open, and we actually opened up on my mom's birthday, August of 2006.
So cool.
So it's been a blessing. It's been a headache. It's every single trial and error we've done. We've had a lot of tears, a lot of laughs, but it's been a blessing. It's been awesome. Like I said, seeing once again that instant gratification of having people taste your mom's cooking, taste your food, taste your beers, taste your margaritas, and then they're like, wow, that's legit. That's just makes it all worth it.
So I think, in 2006, you opened the doors. Like, I think there's so many people that get into business, entrepreneurship, everything. It's discussed all the time. And I think on the internet nowadays, it just seems like such an easy thing. I talk about it all the time on podcasts like MMG. We were opening up. I was like, this could be cake. I've watched so many videos online. I was like,
$150 got an LLC.
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah. Like, I'm the world's best entrepreneur. I've been watching all these videos. In 2006, you open the doors and it's like, what did that look like? First 6 months, you come straight out of the gate. Was it take off well, or was it just?
So I'll tell you what. So my previous businesses, it was a one-man show, and I succeeded like no other. I flipped houses with my dad and a couple of buddies. It was awesome. We made a good return. When I did the H2A visas, I did as well by myself. I had an attorney that did all the legal work, and I did all the paperwork. So open up a restaurant. I'm like, how hard can this be, right? Like you said, man, oh man, from finding distributors, finding sales reps, finding employees. Employees alone. I'm like, I've never ever in my life sat behind a bar. I've always been on the other side of the bar. So now I'm learning how to make drinks, and I'm like, I still don't know how to make drinks. There's so many different cocktails.
He's
out
like,
there.
you tell me when to stop.
It's like, hey, how do you make yours? It's like, that's how I make mine. Do it again.
Did you say a 4-ounce
Sounds
pour?
good.
I think I'm losing money.
So just finding just the hardest thing for me was having all this new overhead. It's like, getting insurance, getting permits. The permits alone, you have to get a permit for everything. I want to have music outside. Got to get a permit for that. I want to have people sitting outside. I got to get a permit for that. I want to cater, deliver food. I have to get a permit for that. And in the kitchen itself, you have to get somebody that cleans the hood. You have to get somebody that does the fire extinguishers, the whole suppression. It was a lot, a lot. And even though I've been there about 18 years now, I'm still learning. There's still something that I forget or that needs to get done that I totally, forget about. Just because it's a lot to do when, especially in the industry of a restaurant.
Yeah, and I know Kansas City doesn't make it easy.
No.
We've waited 4 weeks for approval on a sign.
Oh, so evidently their system was hacked.
It did, yeah, exactly.
I was talking to somebody just the other day about a permit on something else, and it was the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, and they just told us like shit out of luck for right now.
What are those employees doing?
Dude, that's
my question. Is like
3+ weeks they've been hacked. Sitting there, just twiddling their thumbs?
We Facebook and Instagram.
Like what?
I've seen them, yes.
We're sitting there and I'm like, I ask Ricky probably every single day. I'm like, what's the status on the sign? He's like, nothing. Yeah, I'm like, what's the status on the sign? And we go like 2 weeks and like our sign's cut. Like it's a 30-foot metal sign that we had made. We have a 12-foot metal one for the side. We have all this stuff made and ready to go up. And we even did all the math for them. They're like, you can't have over 10% coverage.
Yeah.
So we do all the math. We grid out the whole front of the building, and Ricky percents the whole thing out to where they literally just have to look at it and go like this. And I'm like on his case every day. And then he comes to me like, I think it was the middle of last week. He's like, yeah, their system's down. I'm like today? He's like, no, it's been down since we've been trying to contact him. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, it's not like, oh, okay, their system's down. They still cashed our tax checks that went.
Oh yeah.
They had no problem cashing those.
And you know what? I think taxes needs to go up about another 2%.
Yeah, we need to fix these systems. You guys need to pay more taxes.
Need a better firewall.
Yeah.
Raising prices.
So I had to get a noise permit for my DJs for Cinco de Mayo. And I'm always being proactive. I'll go out there about a month before. They recommend 2 weeks. And I called them and I was like, hey, I'm here to pick up my permits. I show up and they weren't around. So I ended up getting my permits, I think 2 days before Cinco de Mayo. And it's nerve wracking because you try to get all your ducks in a row before a big event like Cinco de Mayo for a Mexican restaurant. And it's just frustrating, But yeah, the system got hacked and it's been down for about 3 weeks now, 4 weeks.
Yeah, that's about right. When we moved in, we haven't been able to get anything on our sign.
Nope.
And I'm just like, I don't know, mind blowing. Like the Kansas City is the only place that their system could go down. They're just all like, oh, whatever, we're still getting paid. No matter.
It doesn't affect our business. It's just when it comes back up, it's going to be a headache.
Yeah.
So we can wait.
Yeah, it's not affecting our pay. We still collect tax money. So it's like, yeah, I think if your system went down for a month, you'd probably be freaking a little bit.
I would go broke.
Yeah.
There's nothing to do. Okay.
Yeah.
Facebook and Instagram went down for what? I think it was like 4 hours one day.
People were freaking out.
Oh, we were
pretty much sitting
you
in the
guys were-
basement.
Yeah, you guys were sitting here. We're like, dude, we're about to pivot. Like, we got to find something else we can do to make money.
We were
I'm like, is radio still up? Can we get back into radio?
There's 5 of us sitting in the basement, and we're all like, I'm like, your Facebook working over there? They're like, no. And I'm like,
what if
let's get back on Twitter, see if anybody's talking about it. We got on Twitter, everyone's like, Meta crash, like Instagram, everything's down. I'm like, guys, that's how we make like all of our money. I'm like, I was like, we should start selling Google ads. Let's sell Google ads instead.
This was before we got into Google, data. Before any of it, it was just straight social.
Start making people some really good website videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do something different.
Casey Starr's still around?
Yeah. let's get back in the newspaper.
That happened. They're like, ooh, we're back, baby.
So, what was when you first opened up? Was your mom in there cooking all the time, or how?
Yeah. So our first day that we opened up, it was my sister that had just graduated from college, and then she was in the front of the house with me. I was in front of the house, and my mom and a cook. So 4 people on staff working 12-hour days, 6 days a week.
It sounds like the car business.
It was brutal. It was brutal. I mean, I think I got fired 10 times. Mom walked out. I couldn't fire her. She just walked out. You know, my little sister
you can't fire
She
mom.
got no.
Yeah.
No.
She's the
got
cook.
fired as
Come
well.
back.
The cook actually, you stay. But yeah, it was it was rough. You know, I mean, like I said, not knowing, I've never served in my life. So every time though the chime would go in for the alarm, people opening up the door, I would be like, "Hi, Dios mío." It's like, here I go. Like, can I help you? It's like, what can I get you to drink? You know. But yeah, it was intense. You know, I've never been like a very outgoing person. I learned really quick.
I was going to say that's probably not an easy job to do if you're not an outgoing person.
No. I mean, I've always been. I mean, that's been reserved, but it's like it's not when you're, you know, not knowing what you were doing. So
Yeah.
I wasn't. But I'm like down getting a little better. So now I can sell ice and Eskimo. It's pretty cool.
Were you expecting all that when you put that paper on your mom's lap, going like, "Hey, I got
No,
you a
at
restaurant"?
I didn't know. All I wanted to do was open up a bar named Enrique's. And my mom's like, absolutely not. It's not gonna happen. You know, it was like I always wanted a bar. It was like, you know, a little hangout after work. Honestly, when I was in college, I didn't know what I was gonna do. I majored with a BSBA in international business and then double major in Spanish and finance econ. So I was like, you know what? I'll figure something out. Sprint was huge. An employer for my school. So I was like, I'll work overseas for Sprint. You know, I'll do this, do that.
Good
I think
thing you
I
didn't go
worked
with
one
Sprint.
day with him and I was like, I can't do this 8 to 5. It's like not gonna happen.
Welcome to corporate life.
No, I could not do
So,
it.
you know what sounds better than that? 12-hour days in a restaurant.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Sounds
Making
better
no
closing
money at
down
all.
at midnight.
No benefits. You
Yeah.
know?
And
I
all
don't think I had
that-
insurance for 5 years.
Yeah. That was when we started MMG. I thought, I'm like, you know what? We've been working just all the time in the dealership. Like we were making good money. It was just 12-hour days, Monday through Saturday. And like we were detailing cars Monday through Thursday, 8 to midnight. And it was like,
We worked so much we could never spend the money.
so
You just had money growing. It's like, dude.
yeah, we're
This
like,
is awesome,
"Bet."
right?
But then we started MMG and I was like, now we're going to have time, which we ended up working more hours at like year number 2. And we're
First year, it was pretty lax.
first year was
like-
pretty good.
It was like 3 days a week. Dane's like, "You want to go golfing on Thursday?" I'm
We
like,
had just a
"Bet."
couple like big accounts, and we started like taking on all this other stuff, and then then we kind of put ourselves right back to where we were.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, you know what, and then we were like, well, we have to hire more people to do this stuff. And then we're like taking on smaller accounts, try to get going. And then those are just burning money. They're not making money. So they're a loss. And then we end up with all these accounts that we're losing money on. And I'm like, dealership, at least we spent all our time and we made money. I'm like, now we spend all of our time and lose money. I was like,
Sure.
this is a whole new concept. But yeah, I think that middle part of like growth is the most difficult part. That's just like keep running into that unknown every single day. That when you start off waiting tables, I guarantee that was probably one of the most like fearful things that you're just doing consistently over and over and over.
Oh, totally.
And now
Totally.
He was
you can do it
praying
with that.
before each table.
It was. I mean, it's something like, please don't ring, please don't ring. You know, no, but it was. I mean, just like you said, it's you know, the first couple of years was rough. You know, just trying to get my bearings and see like, you know, how many people I need to hire. Am I going to get busy? You know, my location isn't centralized. It's a destination. You know, I mean, I'm on a one-way street, no parking habits on the streets. Yes, I have a bunch of, you know, big corporate and hospitals around the area, but they don't know. I mean, they go to their kitchen, they go to their little cafeteria, they eat, and they just go home afterward. So the first year was rough. You know, I had a little bit of money to market. I didn't know what to do, who to hire, and I don't even think, you know, what was out there. Not Facebook. What was the one before Facebook? MySpace.
Yeah.
Or something was out
Yeah.
there, but I didn't even use any of that jazz. You know, all of it was for me was just word of mouth.
Yeah.
You know, I had just graduated from school, so I started bringing in all my fraternity brothers. They started, you know, spreading the word out and just being so active in the community as well with the Hispanic Chamber, with just sitting on different boards, kind of made my business grow. And people started calling, coming in. And yeah, it was awesome. You know, 10 years we lasted on the first floor. And not that I had mastered the business after 10 years, but it was big enough and small enough to where I could sit on the corner and make everything like, you know, legitimately run smoothly. We started doing more catering events, which has been awesome as well. So not only do we eat food at my place, but also have to take it to your destination. And then I was a little bored, so I was like, what do we do next? Do we open up a second location? Do we go up north, down south? I was living up north, so I was like, Liberty sounds good. North Kansas City might, but everybody was like, go to Johnson County. I ended up evicting myself from the second floor where my apartment was, and I opened up second floor and then eventually the third floor.
Well, your apartment was on the second floor?
I lived there for about a year and a half.
So you never left.
I never left. Literally.
Walk downstairs.
It was like get off work and go straight upstairs and come back downstairs and go to work.
I mean, I really wish you would have came to Liberty. That would have been, I've been really happy about that now.
Yeah. It's one thing that scared me about opening up a different location is being consistent, because my mom can't be in two places at the same time.
Yeah.
I can't be two places at the same time. Yes, you could hire somebody that could eventually make it work, but if they have no skin in the game, they're not going to work as well. They're going to take care of the business as well as you are.
Yeah.
And that was my biggest fear. So when I had the opportunity to expand to the second floor and the third floor, I'm like, this is perfect. We'll keep everything centralized. Yeah. We'll have 3 different bars, in essence, 3 different businesses, 3 different restaurants, and we'll have consistency, and mom doesn't have to bounce around from point A to point B to point C. She's like right there, and
you just make it work 3 times as hard.
Yeah.
Exactly. So where did the Teocali name come from?
So we're from Teocali, Jalisco. It's a small town outside of Guadalajara, Aguascalientes. I was actually born in Aguascalientes, and my parents were born in Teocaltiche, but we grew up in Teocaltiche, and a lot of people know it as the House of God or God's house. So we kind of shortened it a little bit, called Teocali.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So location, where would that be?
So you have, let's see here, Mexico City.
Yep.
Then you have Guadalajara, and we're right below underneath Guadalajara.
Okay.
So we're on the west coast by Puerto Vallarta.
Okay.
Yep.
You're saying all those. I'm like,
No,
You didn't know where that was, Dre?
Yeah. Yeah, Dre.
Dane's face. I'm looking at Dane.
I knew
Dane's
exactly where he was
Dane's
at.
like, yeah. I'm like, dude.
I've been there. I think.
Yeah, I was like right around that area like that one time. So I know we like talked about first 6 months. We talked about evolving in space. I know a lot of times business owners, you kind of touched on it a little bit. Business owners, we work with so many companies, vastly different sizes, from small to really big. And I think time and time again, one of the biggest hurdles for them to overcome in business is staffing and scaling and people and building that culture of people and how to retain employment. So like on the evolution of Teocali's, what was that spot that you were like, okay, we're going to step into hiring people? And I don't know in the restaurant space because those people aren't there all the time. So it's not like they're
Correct.
I don't know how the staffing looks in the restaurant space.
Yeah.
So what was that kind of those waters that you navigated?
So let's just say this. When I expanded to the second and third floor in the blink of an eye, I went from 60 people occupancy to 320. And that was brutal, because our kitchen is on the first floor. So our kitchen pretty much remained the same. We added a couple more preps. But when I expanded, we just need bartenders, you need servers, try to give them at least 6-7 tables a piece. So you kind of divide how many servers you're going to need. And also you need food runners, because we don't have elevators. We don't have, kitchen on the second floor, third floor. So a lot of the times, they were like, Enrique, get a dumb elevator, or dumb waiter. I'm like, you're looking at them. Let's go. It's like, I'll be the one, and we did. I mean, we just made ends meet and just ran food up and down to all 3 stories. I still don't know, it's like how many employees we need. When we first opened and expanded, we were steady, consistent because it was new. Kansas City have never seen a 3-story building with, 3 different concepts per se.
It's like Nashville.
And exactly. And in Mexico, you see a lot of those. And that was my biggest vision when I first opened. It's like, I want to have a rooftop. That was like my biggest deal. So that was the biggest deal when I did is I opened up the rooftop and, we were busy, steady, Kansas City's new hottest rooftop. And I was not going to lie, back in 2013, when I opened up the rooftop, I was one of a few that had rooftops. Kyle Kelly was the only one from Kelly's Bar and Grill that had just opened as well, and actually picked his brain on how I was going to be able to do mine. And we were the only 2, And so we were busy. So getting people to work was easy. People could show up, they were making good money, and they ran around and they were like, hey, come to Teocali and apply, And then after a while, more and more restaurants open, more rooftops open, investors start coming in, and they just want to have outdoor seatings. And then COVID hit. Now it's just like the employees just like, just went away for one.
I think COVID did a weird thing in the employment space as a whole.
Yeah.
I think when people tasted this free money that was more than what a lot of them made.
Yep.
It almost set them like that their value point was there.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden these companies are coming out, and you have certain verticals in the space that were making heavy money. Like I look at it with, a lot of different verticals. There's certain like points that you can pick out, but they start getting this free money. And then you have some corporations that were doing well in COVID, but it's also, people don't look at the repercussions that whenever any of those things go up, then they come down.
Yeah.
The government doesn't do anything free for you.
No. So it's like, you also look at those companies like running long-term, they're thinking the next play. They're thinking the play 3 to 5 years from now. They're thinking, okay, this movement of cars is not going to last.
Yeah.
So you have really smart people in the car business that are like, okay, we can take this, but we also need to make sure that we have reserves to float ourselves in the backside. But then you have this employment side that these people were like, they're making money, I should be making all of it too. And it's funny because we get people that bitch on YouTube and everything about this. So it's like, oh yeah, that's corporate greed, whatever, blah, blah, blah. They don't run a fucking company. They've never managed a single person in their life. And it's like, until
you made a lot of money, guess what? Taxes.
Yeah.
Government still wants their fair share of all your profit.
So
they'll get it.
They will get it.
They're going to get it, but it's also, people want to grab from companies when they're doing well.
Yep.
But then when companies aren't doing well, that's the first time everyone wants to jump ship really quick. And then it's still on you. It's still right on your shoulders. You got to make it happen 12 months out of the year.
Oh, agreed.
It's not just whenever you feel like it.
Yep. I had employees that actually took the government funds, and they were like, well, Enrique, I'll come back, but can you guarantee me what I'm making right now a week? And I'm like, I can guarantee you a damn job. It's like, get your ass over here to work.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. It was brutal. It was brutal. It was like pulling teeth. And I was like, then I had to find ways to eventually incentivize them to come back.
Yeah.
It's like, what can I do to get you back here? When do you want to work? How much do you want to get paid? Do you want to work mornings, afternoons? Do you want to work evenings? What do you want to wear?
Yeah.
I was like, can I get you a phone? I was like, we'll split a cost on an iPhone, just gas money. It's like, I was everywhere just trying to make sure that, I don't want my customers to not be taken care of. So I just, until this day, I'm still, trying to hustle and trying to make it to where, employees want to come to work.
Yeah.
And it's like, it goes a long way. It's like, I'm still rubbing elbows a lot with a lot of my employees. I still hustle and clean tables, shake hands, kiss babies as well, and run food and so forth. So they appreciate that. A lot of the people that I know from different industries as well, they're just like, once they start making a buck and then they just like bounce and they never see them again.
Yeah.
I'm the totally opposite. It's because at the end of the day, I love my staff, I love my company, and I love my customers. They're the reason why I'm here. So yeah, trying to incentivize as many employees as I can to come back to work.
Which I definitely think that the incentivizing the correct people is huge. And we live and die by it every day, that incentivizing, making the work culture right, doing that. I think companies still have to do their part 200% to get people to work there. But it's also, I think, we've had some people that come to our table that they spout off a number, and I'm like, yeah, no wonder you've been job hunting for 6 months.
Yeah.
Like,
I get
no one's going to pay that.
Like, need to be there, and I'm like, demanding that price, you ain't even close.
But it's it's just so much of it. And I think corporate did it too, where we've had people come like, this is what I want, I'm working from home. I'm like, we don't have a work from home option, so go somewhere else.
Yep.
And I'm like, how many people do you go in like demanding this stuff?
People are big on working from home now.
But it's like,
well, that's what COVID did.
Yeah, it totally did.
Like, not many people want to go back to to the office, which is it's sad.
But I know a lot of like people that work in corporate America, and corporate America has taken the biggest hit that they ever have on productivity on the work from home. But the funny thing is you'll find like one person works from home, like, my productivity is higher than it's ever been. I was like, you get defensive because you know we're right.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, there's a reason these big companies are showing these losses, and they're having to staff more people than ever before to get the same amount of work done. To where they're going back to buying buildings, they're going back to putting people back in office. I was talking to the guy the other day that works for a software company. They've been working from home for the last 4 years. And he goes, they just sent out emails to the whole entire company. The next 60 days are going all back to office.
Wow.
And he's like, they're showing the lowest numbers that they have in the last 20 years of being in business.
That's a lot of trust to put in someone when it's like, I feel like a lot of individuals have to earn trust.
Yeah.
Whether it's both parties, whether it's employee and the employer. But it's like, say someone just starts and it's like, hey, you work from home. They don't know what your workflow looks like. So it's like you set the bar here and then you just run here. And a lot of individuals do that. And they're like, dude, easiest pass with the least amount of resistance. And then they're collecting a paycheck that they shouldn't be collecting. Which is
facts. I mean, shit, if I could work from home, I would do it. You know, but
Well,
it's kind of
you
hard.
did-
When,
you
when
did
we,
for
it's
a
not kind of not running food up the stairs. Like, oh, go get it, guys. It's downstairs.
Yeah. But
your food's ready. You can go get it now, sir.
Exactly, right?
I met people, and I know people still that have work from home jobs. Like, oh yeah, I bought one of those things that moves my mouse around. That's how they dictate if I'm working or not.
So
Do
the
they
cursor
have,
keeps
like,
moving
mouse
around.
trackers and stuff. Is that?
Oh, you get on Amazon, they have these little things that sit there and they like jitter around the
Well,
mouse.
I mean, like the companies, like, are,
Yeah, so they have to
Really?
log into a software now that if the mouse isn't moving, like within every 15 seconds, that shows that they're not active.
So the company that made that software made millions.
Oh,
Oh
shit.
yeah,
Maybe billions. They're like, dude, sell this to every company
And
for
then-
people working from home.
And then they made the product to just move the mouse.
Double
Capitalize
dipping.
both sides.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's been a rough for the just trying to get good employees. You know, it's I don't know what happened or where they're at, you know, and so forth. But I tell you what, though, the delivery guys for third-party deliveries, they've been kicking ass. You
Yeah.
know? I mean, I get a lot of Grubhub, Postmates, you know, to-go orders, you know, and it has that stopped since COVID. You know,
Yeah.
so
Teocali's was actually the first place we ate after everything locked down.
oh really?
Yeah, because Lauren's birthday is on St. Patrick's Day. And
Yeah.
the first thing that they canceled, at least down in Kansas City, was that Westport St. Patrick's Day parade.
Mhm.
So we were at the gyms, we were like getting everything prepped, ready to like we were trying to do like a stage out there and stuff. It was gonna be like a big deal, and then they just canceled everything.
Locked everything out.
Yeah.
So I got lucky as well because I had the rooftop, and once we locked down, our to-go orders were already just happening. So I was like, we just have to throw it up a notch, you know, and we did. You know, we carried everything out from the first floor, and then they came out reopening the doors for us, and they're like, if you have outdoor seating, you don't have to wear a mask. I'm like, yes. I'm like, let's go, rooftop guys. I had DJs Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights. You know, 4 nights a week, DJs upstairs. Everybody loved it.
Everyone's ready to get
Oh,
out.
everybody-
They're like, let's
exactly.
go.
Yes, they did. They did. And even on the second floor, when you have the garage doors open and the back door, it's a nice little breeze,
Oh yeah.
you know. So then the rooftop was open. And I mean, I think I only closed for about a month and a half, 2 months.
oh wow,
But other than that, I mean, I just kept rolling, you know. But then other friends of mine that own restaurants, they closed it entirely. They made more than I did. And I worked my ass off. I'm like, what's
they closed down. They're like, oh, here's a free PPP loan. That
they
you can
did.
Yeah,
You know, it was like, man, it's like I should have just closed, you know, and taken a vacation to Mexico for
Yeah.
4 months.
yeah.
But
But-
it was worth it. I mean, it was nice to keep the doors open and have customers, you know, just come in and just relax. And it was some tough times that we went through. You know, it's a scary times.
I
So
think
weird.
the weirdest thing with all of it was how vastly different rules were. And like every different so in Liberty, the weirdest thing in Liberty was there was a mask mandate on half of Liberty, but if you drove over the I-35 bridge, it wasn't on the other side.
Kansas City.
So Kansas
So if
City's
it
this
doesn't
side,
go over
like
35.
so.
That's right. Yeah.
So you go over the I-35 bridge, that's Liberty.
Yeah.
So you go in on this side, and they're like, you have to wear a mask everywhere. You go over to the other side. Liberty was like the most happening place around. You go over there, and you're at like Saltgrass, and they're like, it's a 2-hour wait. I'm like, great, I'll wait. Like,
Nowhere
like,
else to be.
yeah, I'm not going over that side. You drive by everything. It looks like just a ghost town. You drop over the other side of Liberty. And I'm just like, I was like, how is it fair for those business owners that are 150 yards away that you're telling me that this city line is where the COVID stops.
Exactly.
I was like, no scientist is going to tell you that's accurate. I was like,
Well, I think the landing had the same thing you did because they have garage doors on their bar side.
Yeah.
So you could go in and during COVID, if there's somewhere COVID was, everyone's like this.
oh, the whole
And
place.
it's like 6 feet. I'm like, bro, you go in there. I'm like, there's probably 300 people in somewhere that can fit maybe 50
Rubbing
people.
elbows everywhere.
Oh yeah.
You're like trying to get the bar. It's like,
But
The best mask mandate was when you were at the restaurant, right? And I had every other table had to be taken or empty. And then if you stood up, you have to put a mask on.
Yeah.
But if you sat down, no mask.
Yeah.
Because only, COVID was only about 4 feet up.
Yep.
yeah.
I was like,
it doesn't
what
hate
is
you down
this?
here.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, yeah. I mean, I had so many customers come in. They're like, I'm not wearing no goddamn mask. I'm like, dude, it's like, I wish I could just come in. But you had a lot of Karens running around. A lot of them.
And then all of a sudden they gave like all these, I don't know if they're like health inspectors, I don't know who they were, but you can't see, but they gave them these badges.
Yep.
And they're walking around like they're FBI agents.
Yep.
And
I got hit a couple of times.
those clowns
I
are
saw it
sitting
a couple
back at their desk, back doing absolutely nothing now. And it's like they had this like 1 year of glory that they're like, oh, you remember that year of COVID where they let us out of the office and
They're
we
gonna
got
be telling
running around
their
with
grandkids.
badges.
I shut down 8 businesses in one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
No, we got accused a couple of times for
yeah.
having people walk in with no mask.
Oh yeah.
They would like call us and they'd be like, "Hey, we heard that you're not requiring masks," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" I'm like, "You want to come and sit with us?"
Like, who turned
So-
someone in on that?
Oh, there was a
Oh,
lot of
there was a
Karens
lot
at
of
that.
people.
There was
a lot of Karens.
There was a lot. So at the gym, you had to wear the mask into the building. When you started working out or exercising, you take it off so you don't die, and then you have to put it back on to leave. But like when you're breathing heavy on the treadmill and stuff, totally fine.
Yeah. That it was
Front doors is where COVID stops.
Yeah.
Dude, I literally had a guy arguing with me one day in the locker room at Genesis, and he had this like beard, and he has one of them long, goofy masks that's like this long.
The beard mask.
Yeah, the beard, long beard mask. And he's sitting there, and he comes in. He's like, "Where's your mask?" I'm like, you don't work here." I was like, "I'm not wearing one." I was like, "I'm about to get in the sauna. I'm literally standing there in my boxers, about to go." And he's like, "You just trying to kill people?"
Oh my God.
I go, "Dude, nobody is wearing them out working out right now." And he goes, "But everywhere else you have to wear them." I go, "Dude, if you can logically make sense of this to me, I'll put it on." And I'm like, until then, it's going to stay in my gym bag. I'm going to get in the sauna. And this dude's like literally sitting there. He's like, "I cannot believe people like you."
I can't believe people became so entitled so fast where it's like, one, I mind my own business. Like, I live in my world. I'm not in your world every day.
Yep.
And probably what I say to you in passing, most people brush it off, move on down the road, and then people on the road, they'll stop you and be like, "Dude, what are you doing?" I'm like, if you're 6 feet away, man, stay 6 feet away. You don't get it. I'm like, what's the issue here?
Step back.
Yeah, you're the problem.
You'd be
sir.
walking down
Yeah.
the sidewalk and people have masks on. I'm like, we're outside, bro.
So benefit though of the masks, when you left the restaurant, when you had to put it on to leave, when it was cold out, I left it on until I got to the car. It kind of
That was
your
the
face
best
warm.
one.
Yeah.
Way to look at the positive.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
great.
And actually, that whole year, I think I got sick.
Yeah.
I wore a mask all the time.
The next year, I'm like, got sick 4 times. What
Yeah.
happened?
Ricky hit the nail on the head on something on the positivity side. I see a lot of things that you post on Instagram. I see that there's a lot on attitude, things of that nature. From the first time that I encountered you, I could just tell that there's a energy that you carry.
Yeah.
Where did you get that?
Oh man, just being blessed to be able to do what I love and coming to the States and being able to provide to my family and provide and be able to feed a lot of people. I grew up being the oldest of 3 and my 2 younger sisters. My dad was always working on the railroad, so I grew up really fast. I was the only boy, and I was probably 10 years old, 9 years old when my dad was like, "Mijo, you're in charge now. You're the man of the house." And so I grew up really fast. Always remained positive. Never looked down. And it's like, it's life's too short as is. I've lost a lot of good people. Blink of an eye, you could be gone tomorrow. So appreciate day to day. And it just be as positive you can, because that energy eventually, moves on. There's nothing worse than having somebody walking in the restaurant with a shitty attitude, because I could spot it. And I'm like, I literally kick them out. Especially staff. I'm like,
Yeah.
Go back outside, leave that outside, then come back in. with a more positive attitude, because it goes far. Yeah. So a lot of the quotes that I have, I've just read through different books or skimmed through Facebook or social media, and I'm like, I like that. And I have a bunch of them that I saved on my phone. I read them every once in a while, just kind of like get me back in mindset in the groove. I mean, there'd be days where I'm just like, during COVID, when it's slow, I'm like, what the hell am I doing? It's like the bank is not going to when I don't pay their note, it's like, so I'm like, come on, Enrique, just stay positive. I'm a huge, Catholic as well. So I believe in God and I believe in pray a lot. So I'm like, hey, if it was, easy, everybody would be doing it, but God's not going to give you obstacles you can't overcome. And just being as positive as possible, because if you can make that little change to somebody, that goes far. And that's kind of where I've been.
I think that attitude holds so much weight in everything that I watch people create their own destiny, and a lot of times a lot of it hinders on that attitude. That you can get up tomorrow and you can find all the negatives in the world.
Yep.
Trust me, they're easy to find. Get on social media, you'll find groves of them. Whatever it may be there. And I was just talking about it on my story today. Like, I don't know who those people are that get up in the morning and they just have such a negative outlook on life.
Yep.
I feel bad for them. Like I really 100%. Do. And I get up and it's like, I view it the same way. I view life as being very, very, very short.
Yeah. That
in college, Dalton and I both were geology majors. And part of that is you're looking at the overall like science of Earth and how long it's been here and things like that. And you look at like the mass amount of time and you look at how small of a piece we are on such a bigger scale. And the things that people get bent out of shape about, the things that people let ruin their day. Like there's in no way, shape or form that finances can ever ruin my day.
Yeah.
No matter how good or how bad. And it's just like, I've focused every single day, just staying the course of just doing the right things. Mm-hmm. But it's also like that attitude piece is something that so many people, like I can see it just cripple people all the time.
Yep.
That they wear it right there on their sleeve. I'm like, oh, what's going on in your life? I know something has got you absolutely wrecked. That now it's going to wreck 5 more things.
Yep.
That's
domino effect.
It is.
Yep.
And once one thing happens and another thing happens and another thing happens, and they're like, my life's falling apart right now. I'm like, because you're letting it fall apart.
100%.
And it's like, I can have one bad thing happen, and I literally have like trained myself within 30 seconds. I can brush it off and move on to the next thing on how to fix whatever it may be. If it's something that needs fixed or whatever has to be done to where that's not an issue.
I mean, it's just like my golf game. I could have terrible shots, but I hit that one nice shot. I'm like, screw this, let's go. We got this.
1 in 18. I did 1 in 18 drives.
Yeah.
I'm like, but each time I go out and play, I'm like, dude, I know one time out of this 18, I'm gonna have a spectacular drive.
That's one place I'm not very good at doing that is the golf course. The golf course, I'll let it takes me down. But it's like,
you're right though. I mean, there's so many people out there that just are so negative. I mean, it's like it just seems like they're more and more lately. I mean, they don't appreciate life. They don't love life. They don't, respect life. They respect each other. And it's unfortunate because it's like I said, a blink of an eye, I mean, we could be gone tomorrow, and I'll be damned if I let one little thing really hinder the rest of my day, because you set the tone in the morning. I mean, I love your posts as well every morning. I don't get up at 3:30 in the morning like you do, but I'll read around 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Like a normal person.
Like a normal person.
I will say that's probably one of the hardest. So getting up is not difficult for me, but my brain's not like fully functioning yet at like 4 o'clock when I'm heading to the gym.
Yeah.
So most of the time when I'm trying to coming up with that post each morning of like what I'm putting on there, normally I'm sitting in the car, I'm like, wake up. Wake up. I gotta get something good together here.
Pre-workout should be kicking in.
And then I'm sitting there, I'm like, what do I talk about? I'm like, so sometimes it'll be like 10 minutes. I'm sitting in my car, like drinking my pre-workout, trying to like come up with something. And then some days you'll see where it's just like one line. That was 10, 15 minutes and nothing came to me. And I'm like, it's just going up. That's what they're getting.
Yeah. That's good. It's awesome, man. I really enjoy it.
No, I think it's important to set the tempo for yourself all the time. That I very much try to live as like, if something happens tonight, like, did I do today correct?
Yep.
Did I treat the people that I crossed correctly? Because, I mean, you never know what could happen. Like, I mean, a month ago, I was sitting in the hospital thinking I was literally going to die. bleeding out that I was like really out of position, that I'm like reflecting at that time over like the last year. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, I should have done this different. I should have done this. I'm like, did I leave all these things correctly? I'm a position where I'm supposed to be to go. Like, and that was literally like, I came back and I was like, I got the wedding deal done. I was like, I need to take advantage of more of my day.
He stopped drinking for a week.
Well, I had to get everything cauterized to get on a plane to get to Cabo. So, but it's like, I looked at, there's a lot of things that changed coming back from that. And it was just, gave me a little bit different perspective. Yeah. And it sucks sometimes that something like that has to happen for you to change a little bit of perspective.
Oh, believe me, I've had my share. I mean, I'm not perfect, you know, and I've had my share of a lot of stupidity things that I've done and or said. But if you let those get to you, and they'll just swallow you apart.
Oh yeah,
swallow you. So it's like, yeah. But it's
What's funny is I actually used to be really good when I was younger about just brushing things off. I never looked too deep into things.
Yeah.
Like people would say something, I'm like, push it off. Now moving forward, getting into like actual business, not just like high school, college, all that. Now it's like someone says something, I'm like, what'd that mean? But it's like, look at it, internalize it, done. Yeah. So I'm like, good, bad, indifferent. It's like something where could have been looked at that way. Don't know if that's how they're coming at it. And I do feel like I'm a positive person, and I try to be positive towards everyone that's around me. And if someone's like negative, honestly, I'll try to talk to you once that day. If you're just in the dumps, I'm like, not killing my vibe. I'm like, moving on. But it's something where I do believe there needs to be a separation from work and life, because everyone has stuff going on in their life. Like all four of us have something different going on in our lives right now. Separate that from the second you go into work, leave that at the door, and then that can be handled after work. Mm-hmm. Which I think that's how it should
problems
be.
are always going to be there.
Yeah, they're not going away.
Always going to be there. So it's
just different problems.
Yeah.
And I look at it as like leveling up in life is becoming a better problem solver.
Yep.
The better problem solver you can become, the better you get at the game of life. And that's really the way I look at it every single day. And how do I become better at solving problems? Like, and I look at it a lot of times as if I get up earlier, I had a problem for a long time getting in the gym. It's because I made an excuse because other things, Wednesday night, I'm not going to make it. I'm podcasting every Wednesday night. I'm not making it Thursday because we have a social deal. We want to go out and have drinks with somebody. Yeah. To where it's like, so you have a problem. How do you solve it? And then it gives me an extra hour plus in the office in the morning that I can then review my day before of what things I did right, what things I need to change, what things I capitalized on, what things I can go over that day. To where I feel like I'm more in front of myself. Life isn't happening to me. I'm making it happen.
And that's huge. I mean, that's what a lot of people don't really get. They just tend to point fingers. You know, oh, I'm not, going to the gym because of so-and-so. Well, I acting this way because of so-and-so. But once you take that part out of it and you start focusing on you, I mean, then you can make, I'm the same way. It's like at the beginning of the year, I was dating this gal for a while and it just didn't work out, which is completely fine. But then I was focusing so much on the problem and on the issue, where in reality, I should have started focusing on me, and I started focusing more on me. I mean, now I get up at 5:30, 6 o'clock every morning, and it's like I was never a morning person.
Yep.
I usually would get home at that time, Or now getting up at 5:30, 6 in the morning, and my day is so productive all day. I quit drinking for about 3-4 months. I started here every once in a while, but nothing as heavy as I used to, just because there's so much more to do. And just like you, I have to be 110% live at the restaurant, because if the server doesn't show up, bartender doesn't show up, somebody falls, somebody this, I have to be ready to go. So it's been a crazy ride, and it's just trying to be as positive and focused and try to, you have some of those people that come in the office or the restaurant that are just like, oh, my girlfriend broke up with me, or this and this happened in my life. And I'm like, dude, it's like, it's going to be there no matter what. It's like, what are you going to do to overcome it? It's like, are you going to be, down in the bunks, the rest of the day, the rest of the week, the rest of the month? The storm will last for so long. It's going to eventually be nice and sunny. It's like, let's go. Come on, man.
A lot of people in life never master the art of emotional control.
Right now.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm one of those people, like, I can have a conversation with somebody that has the complete opposite viewpoints of me. That doesn't mean I'm going to call them names. It doesn't mean I'm going to get all fired up at them. Doesn't mean I'm going to attack them personally, whatever it may be. Like emotional control wise is like, and I think it's something that I've learned a lot more in business. It's something I can still get better at. Once in a blue moon, somebody still will push my buttons enough to get me to tick, but it's like,
It's usually me.
but it's also like, I look at it as every morning I have to face the man in the mirror.
Yep.
The only person that can control that man is me.
Exactly.
And it's, when you talk about pointing fingers, like MMG, one of our main core pillars of MMG is extreme ownership. The quickest way to get me fired up in a conversation is when we start talking about a problem, you start pointing fingers to someone else. Every single thing that happens in the MMG walls is my fault. If somebody does something incorrectly, it's because, and it doesn't matter where it's at, then I didn't meet with management enough to put a clear enough process in place for that to happen right. It's not their fault. I'm on calls with clients all the time, like this, and this. I'm like, that's my fault. I'll get it handled. I'll make sure I fix the process in the future to where that doesn't happen. I'll cover the expense, whatever it is. Like it'd be really easy for me to be like, yeah, that's Dalton's fault. Dalton did that.
You're putting him on blast right here.
Yeah, let's put Dalton on blast. But it's like, whatever it may be, that's the easy road. People always want to take the credit when it's good.
Absolutely.
When somebody's giving you a thumbs up, everyone's like, yeah, that's me. Like, you have to learn that when the great credit comes, that's when you give it away. That's when you don't take the ownership for it. When we have people come our way, they're like, dude, I'm so glad we partnered with you. I'm like, I'm not the one who does the work. I put a lot of great people around myself that are a lot smarter than me, and they're the ones that make it happen.
Yeah.
That's when you defer it. Most people are really great at being like, yeah, that's me. Look at Patrick Mahomes. Like, that dude has an art form of when he talks to people. When it's bad, he gets up in front of the cameras and takes 100% blame for it.
Yep, he does.
When it's great, he gets up there and says it's because Travis Kelce had a great game. Because somebody else there had a great game. But it's like, that there, I think, is like true leadership. I think that is emotional control. I think that is extreme ownership. Like, I feel like there's so much that goes into that. And the crazy thing is people watch it right in front of their face all the time. And you could sit there and you could talk to somebody about this. Somebody will watch this and listen to this and they'll be like, that's something I need to do. Tomorrow that pathway comes. The boss is pissed at him. Something happened. That was Jim's fault. Like,
thought about it, not doing it today.
Actually,
we'll get it on the next one.
But it's like, it's crazy that, and I think it's something that just comes with like habit. It comes after like just repetition of it. That it was hard for me in the car business. I remember being in the car business. I was manager. I had all these sales guys, and my dad would be ripping me a new one. I thought the easiest way to get off me. I was like, that's Josh's fault. He was the one that does. Like, but it was like, and that's where, when you're talking to people, they're like, oh, you've just always been like that. I'm like, no, that was something I had to learn.
Yeah.
But I learned too that I would have those guys there, and my dad, as I got the respect of them, my dad would be chewing me apart for something, and I would take the blame for it. It'd be amazing how much more I got out of that guy in the future. Then now all of a sudden I was in his corner. That like Dane will stand up for me when I need him. And that's like, I think a lot of times, like Patrick Mahomes, perfect example. Those guys know that when the game goes south or something goes wrong, that he's not going to get up on national TV and just throw them all on the bus.
Fingers, yeah.
So it's like,
defense really just didn't perform tonight.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, I didn't throw enough touchdowns. It's
Even when they were dropping everything.
Yeah. They're dropping every ball out there. And it's like every news station every sports station out there is destroying the Chiefs about dropping a ball. Mahomes is getting up there saying it's his fault. And the dude's throwing dimes at him.
It can only hit right in the middle of the
yeah. It was too soft.
Yeah.
It was too wobbly.
Can you throw it hard enough where it sticks in their helmet? But
It's just coming in way too fast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
he's throwing it too hard. Like, I don't know what he's doing.
He threw with his left hand. I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah. I thought he was on the ground.
Yeah, he wasn't looking at me. I was like,
But he did also keep confidence in the receivers, though. And then, like, MVS ended up having a couple huge catches in the postseason when if they had a less mature quarterback that was playing, and starts throwing him under the bus, something like that,
Oh,
then that guy's confidence is going to be wrecked.
And I think it's crazy how so many people discount him because he's young and they don't think he can have that leadership ability at a young age. And something like we talk about with MMG all the time, like we really don't have anybody over the age of 30. Like Dalton's old as shit. Like he's pretty much the oldest one there. But besides that, like it's pretty much a company all of 20-year-olds.
He's taking a nap over there, don't we?
Yeah. But when you look at just the leadership side, it's something that we focus on so much and we talk about it. I think a lot of places don't even talk about it. I don't think it's ever a discussion. I don't think places put in core values.
Yeah.
I don't think, and for the longest time, we didn't have core values. I didn't know what to hire on. We had no idea what to fire on. We're like, well, what did they really do wrong?
Where
Like,
these people are kind of like us.
yeah, that's pretty
They're
much
gonna do good.
in the beginning. It was just like hire people like us. Like if they like to work a lot, then they'll be good. And that's how we ran it for a long time. But then we're like, we had people that didn't really fit the mold. We're like, why don't they fit the mold?
We need to define the mold a little
Yeah.
bit better.
So then it's like once we sat down and really started defining the mold, it actually made it to where we had a whole new set of questions that we asked when we were hiring people. That we had one guy that came to us that had a crazy decorated resume, but literally sat there for 10 minutes and just dogged on the last two companies he was with. It was all their fault, everything. And I'm like, you know what this dude's not showing? Extreme ownership. To where it was like really easy. And then you'll talk to some people like 300 is one of ours. Like we rise as one, we fall as one.
Yeah.
Like it's no one person that runs the company. To where it's like when we look at it as a team, you'll have people that just when they're talking, it's like I did this company, I did this, and I built this, I did this. And I'm like, well, you never were a team player there, so probably why it didn't work out. Also, it was everyone else's fault, and it's like you don't show that value. So it's like it makes it really easy when Logan and Dalton or Ricky and Jaime or whoever's talking to people, they go right through that, and we're like, what are the answers to this? Those are the wrong answers. We're not hiring them. But then after that mold was like kind of outlined, it was crazy how much easier it like made who that person was that we were looking for.
I'm also trying to picture you at 24, open up, going, "Night, guys, I got a restaurant." Then you're going in at 24, going, "Hey, I need permits, I need all this." Like, what's this get up to?
Very much so. Very much so. So I sat on the front of the liquor department, and also in front of the city to obtain the liquor license and also the capacity personnel or person, right? And they were like, "How old are you? Who are you representing?" I'm like, "I'm representing myself, with Teocali Mexican Restaurants." It's like, "What are you opening?" I was like, "Yeah." So Sly James was out there. He was our, I think he was there in 06. Sounds about right.
I don't think I'd be much help on that topic.
He was, so he was, he lived down the street from the restaurant as well. So he started frequenting us a lot. Loves his tequila, so that was nice. But yeah, being young, man, it was rough. They didn't take you serious. Even when I had the other program, the H2A, H2B visas, I was 19 years old, 20 years old, bringing over 1,000 employees from Mexico and South America, sitting in front of these huge, I won't, name any landscape companies, but huge companies that would get, 100, 150, 200 people from me. And they're like, "You're what? 19, 20 years old and you're doing what?"
So how did that come about?
I feel like we skipped on how many people you were getting visas for. I was thinking like 7, maybe 8.
No, there was a time where I was, bringing up almost 750, 800 visas.
Wow.
So how I got into that. So a good friend of mine owns a tree farm. And he wanted to, he heard about this program, and I was in college, and he was like, "Hey, I need a bilingual guy to come and help me out." We had mutual friends, so I came and helped him out for a couple of years. So he's like, "This is a program that I would love for you to help me with." I was like, "Can you do some research?" And I did, and we partnered up for a little bit for about a year, and then he started getting busy. So then I took over the entire business, and so we were just start rolling and start bringing in employees, and it was awesome. I was 19, 20 years old, going to Mexico City, going to Monterrey. It's like having my little flip phone. It's like, "Hey, where are you at, Dad?" Like, I have 3 buses coming in from Mexico. I need to sign them out from this place, that place.
Wow.
But it was intense. It was very nerve-wracking because you as an employer, you're like, "Hey, March is around the corner, and I need to mow 60 lawns. It's like, where the hell are my guys? And I'm like, the government has them.
The government took them.
I don't have their visas yet. What do you want me to do?
I don't know where they're at.
2 weeks go by. I'm going down to the embassy. I'm like late, staying in line from like 3 a.m. till they open up at 7, and there's hundreds of people there waiting as well. It was rough.
So if they came up, did they get their visas in the Were they in the United States?
I was in the embassy of U.S. in Monterrey or in Guadalajara, and that's where they got their work visas from the U.S.
Oh, gotcha.
How far is that from the border?
Monterrey is about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Hour and a half.
Yeah.
I was thinking like 750 people at like somewhere up here that were just like hanging out, like ready to go, just not let us go.
No, we couldn't
Like, where were they
cross the border.
keeping them?
So
Couldn't cross the border.
you said you're doing all that research and everything, and this is like you said, pre-internet.
And
right?
by that,
How do you-
I hired an immigration attorney. I was like, yo, I need these companies approved. I need these employees. How much are you going to cost?
And that's when he knew he was going to be a good
And
business.
that's when I was like, all right, I got this.
He's like, guys, I know how to delegate. I
Yeah.
got it.
So and then from there, I went to the companies that I'm like, I had to add on a little extra for me. So I was like, perfect. There we go. Yeah, that was it. I was the middleman, but I did all the paperwork. I did the funnest part of that business was I would drive through Mexico by myself as a 19-year-old, no cell phone, no freaking GPS, just road atlas like my dad used to do when he was working for the railroad, and just hit up all these little towns where all my employees were from. Oh, it was the best thing ever. I mean, they were so hospitable. They opened up their doors for you. They would literally take their shirt off, and give it to you. And the moms, the wives, they were so grateful for the opportunity that their son was going to go to Mexico and work and not have to pay a coyote X amount of money. And who knows if he's going to make it or not going to make it, or is he going to die on the way there or so forth. It was just the best feeling ever.
I bet that was pretty
How
cool.
did we skip over this? Yeah, I just got right into opening Teocali.
I think something like that is, once again, I think it's crazy rewarding, but you talked about just being a middleman in something, that there's so many things out there that when we talk about problem solving, you saw a problem that somebody else had and you figured out how to solve it.
Hundreds of individuals, probs.
But it's like,
Thousands.
and you look at the amount of movement that happened because of what you could do.
Yeah.
Like, we talk about the survival, the status, the freedom, to purpose. Like, if you can find freedom and purpose in something that you're doing, like, that's where I think you win. I feel like that's when people find like true enjoyment in what they're doing. And I think with Teocali's, with your mom cooking there, with the family ties to all of it, there's a lot of purpose there for that. But it's like, you also look at, you were changing 750 to 1,000 people's lives.
Yeah, that was
Like,
huge. Yeah.
Literally every year. Like, that they had a problem down there that they wanted to come here. You just named off all the problems that they're having. And then it's like, there's a landscape company up here. There's a seasonal company up here that needs help. They got a problem.
Yep.
And nobody went to an immigration attorney and be like, hey, can you do this and this? And like, oh yeah, we can do that. And they're like, okay, if I can go find the people and if I can bring them up here and I can take a cut of it, like, that's a business. Like,
It was.
that's literally like, if you can figure out, like, I think a lot of times people overthink business. I think a lot of people overthink and they make it too complicated. Figure out this person's problem, and figure out how to connect them.
Very true.
That's really all marketing is. Marketing is, somebody needs a service, somebody needs a product. They just haven't seen the product or the service. That's literally like the evolution of marketing. Is when TVs first came out, it's like, well, we can put ads on these TVs and then somebody now can know about this company. And that was when the commercial started. Then they're like, well, now we can put them on the radio. And you have radio commercials. Then it's all of a sudden like, where's people's attention at? How can you connect two people to solve that problem? So it's like, I think any business owner out there, if you're just looking at problems, like, you have that knack of connecting that. And I mean, you figured something out at 19 years old that nobody else was even thinking of.
So it was out there. I met a gentleman that actually did it for a living and through Mexico, and I hired him for the first couple of rounds. But it was like, if he could do it for Mexico, and he's hiring somebody from the U.S., it's like, why am I doing this? I live in the U.S., so I went to a buddy of mine who was an attorney then, and I was like, hey, let's get the ball rolling here. What do you think? He was all excited because it was something new for him, and he was like, if I get this ball rolling as well, I'm going to start doing it as well, and we just took off. It was fun, man. It was my office was my parents' basement. I lived with my parents during college, and
that's the best office.
They knew for 5 months out of the year I was just, don't talk to me. I'll eat when I want to eat. I was just grinding, and then once I got all my employees here in March, April, it was game. I literally partied from like April, May, June, July, August. That's when I went to Mexico and just hung out and with the families, and then recruit more people.
Found 12 last time I was there.
But yeah, that was fun, man. That was really cool. And and then just 9/11 hit, and it made it harder and harder and harder. And more and more people were doing the same thing I was doing. So I started doing consulting just for the companies that I had. So I was training somebody in the HR, and they started taking it on their own. And then that's when I started with the restaurant. I was in between that business and the restaurant. I was actually working for Miller Lite. One of my buddies his dad was a GM. He's like, Enrique, I want to get the Hispanic market out there. It's like, you're bilingual, help me. I'm like, what do I need to do? He's like, just go around different places and serve them Miller Lights and just get drunk with them. 21 years old. I'm like, absolutely.
I'll be perfect.
Sounds like
You're saying I'm getting paid for doing this?
Yes. Well, I lasted like 4 months. Bro, that's hard. That was rough. God, I had literally events every single night of the week.
He's like, dude, my liver's telling me I'm done.
You have to drink, or else you have to believe in the product, right?
Yeah.
So you would walk around and you would be like, hey, can I get your Miller Lite? Can I get your Miller Lite? And, most events lasted 4 to 5 hours. And I was the one that was actually throwing them. So trying to get the word out about Miller Lights, because back then Miller Lite wasn't that big. Bud Light was huge. Lasted 4 months, and I'm like, screw this. I was like, John, I love you, but I'm gonna get my liquor license for the restaurant, and I can't have two.
It turns out it was too good to be true.
It was. I wish I would have stayed, but
Your liver.
my
doesn't.
calling was somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your liver thanks you.
So from beer, I started drinking more tequila at the restaurant.
Because you got to believe in the product.
Yeah.
Exactly, right? I believe 120 different products there. But yeah, man, it's been quite a ride.
So where do you see Teocali's going in the next 5 years? What's your
It's
vision?
wild because it's we will originally started as a little, just 1-2 year deal. Let's see what happens. We'll be 18 years in August. We turn 18 years.
Congrats.
Thank you. And it's been quite a ride. We had a lot of ups and downs. One thing that I have noticed is I'm getting older, which means my parents are getting older, and we're still working, not as much as we used to, but we still have a lot of hours that are invested in the restaurant. And now with the World Cup coming up in a couple of years, I want to stick around for that. I want to reach my 20-year mark and reevaluate where we want to be. I love real estate. I love flipping houses. I love rental properties. I want to develop, so that's something that I had a lot of passion for. I'm still doing it, but I can't give it 110% because the restaurant takes a lot of my time. So we'll see, and hopefully in a couple of years, we'll reevaluate life and see where we're at. If all goes well, we'll just keep it where we're at. And then in 5 years, who knows? Maybe I'll be in Puerto Vallarta sipping on margaritas.
The ultimate goal.
That is the ultimate goal.
But wrapping up the podcast, because I know we could sit here and talk for hours, no questions asked. At the end of the podcast, we always ask the final question is, if you go back to your 21-year-old self and give yourself one word of advice, what would it be?
Don't open up a restaurant. No, it's one word of advice. That's rough. Follow your passion. It's like I did there for a while. I was kind of lost. When I had the restaurant itself, when I first opened, my head got too big. The first 6 months, a year when I lived upstairs, I was partying way too much. Because why? I own a restaurant. You know, I was going to the bars. I'm like, I'm 25 years old, and it's like, hey, you want to go back to my place? You know. So the word of
That was a
advice
flex.
is stay grounded. You know, work hard first, and then you can party hard later. I wish I would have focused a lot more the first, you know, couple of years. Really tidied everything up, and not have many loose ends. It all kind of worked out, but it took me a little bit longer to get there. But that's probably what I would recommend.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Awesome.
A lot of great words of wisdom in the last hour. I didn't know the whole story, and I'm very, very glad that you came on.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Very thankful that you came. But we have a lot of catering in our near future from you.
Yes.
So super excited for that. So all the podcast guests that are going to start being at our events, our food's coming from Teocali. So
There you go.
be excited for that. We will put all of your links below for all of your socials, everything like that. If you're in Kansas City, you want some great Mexican food, great margaritas, great drinks, whatever it may be, make sure you stop in. But once again, thank you for coming on. And that is the M3 Podcast. Peace.
Peace. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the M3 Podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Want to learn more? Check us out on Instagram at Moss Marketing Group, on Facebook at Moss Marketing 58, or on our website at mossmarketinggroup.com.